Today's tutorial is on the free Google Sites. We're going to show you the basics of how to get started in this first episode. And following episodes, we're going to do a real deep dive and help you become an expert. Let's get started. Welcome back. I'm Fuzzee D, and this is Fuzzee Tutorials. What we've got up here in our browser is my company website, and this is completely built in the free Google Sites. So you'll notice it's got my domain, so it is possible to register a domain and have it attached to your site. It's a little bit of a hassle, and we're not going to cover that in this episode. That's going to be in one of the later chapters in this series, because it's a little complicated and it probably deserves really its own standalone chapter. It is pretty full featured. I mean, there are some things you don't have control over. At some point in the not too distant future, I'm going to be moving to a different platform. But, you know, if you need a fairly decent free website, this does a pretty good job. And it also will reformat it automatically on mobile devices. On a later episode, I'll actually fire up my iPhone and show to you what it looks like on smartphones. Might even do it on my iPad. Not sure yet if I can get the right software I need to share it. So you've got full menu capabilities, pop-down menus. And you can, some of the templates that are available, this will give you more contrast on your menus. But this is actually, I've created my own custom theme for this. You've also got other menus available to you. So if we go and look at another site that I did, you can see we've got vertical menus here. And we've even got a full animated background graphic on this one. But this can really slow your site down if it's not done just right. And Google Sites doesn't handle it real well, but it can be done. Now for this particular one, we've designed a graphic for this. There are some common problems with designing your own graphic to use as the header for your site, with how it resizes as you change browser sizes. What looks good in the designer can be completely messed up when you view the website for real. So I'll show you some of the pitfalls of that. I'm not sure if we'll cover that in this chapter. We'll see how time goes. I don't want to make this one too long. So I'll just give you a quick tour of what the actual designer looks like for my site. So you'll notice here how we've got a lot more vertical space above and below the graphic, but when you look at the actual site, there's almost no space there at all. So that's one of the things I was talking about. You've got the ability to put in footers. So you only have to design this once and then it shows up on every page. You can do that with headers as well. Now, unfortunately, the way I've done this is I have to actually put this graphic in manually on every single page, but there is a way to avoid having to do that. I won't get into the specifics of why I had to go that route on this. And here's all the different things that you can add to your page. They've even got image carousels and areas that will hide. So if I go to the services page here, so we've got these little expandable areas. And one of the things I like about their newer updates to this interface is that it allows you to choose your pages right from the actual menu for it. So if we go into so here we've got an image carousel set up, so you can put in several images. If we go to the actual website, I can show you how that works. You get the little arrows on either end, where you can scroll through the different pictures. And you've got your pages interface, and this is where you set out all the different pages. And this automatically creates your menu for you. And then we have our themes tab. And they've got a bunch of built-in themes, and some of them are not too bad. They're fairly decent. And they are editable. You can change the color schemes and stuff in them. And then you can also create your own theme from scratch, which is what I did here when I redesigned my site here just about a week or two ago. All right, so let's go to a demo. So you notice we've got no sites listed down here. These are all a template gallery. So you can start with a pre-existing template. You can open that up. You have a few more choices to play with. So this can get you started pretty quickly. Now, to be honest, I've never actually worked with one of these built-in templates, except way back when I first started with Google Sites. And back then it was a lot more rudimentary capability. So I just chose to build my own from scratch rather than dealing with a template. And I just haven't gotten back into taking a look at it. I've done website design off and on for quite a long time. I was involved in a web design company back in the day. There were 4 of us partners. We did pretty well, but back then we had to build it all manually pretty much. So this makes life a lot easier. To get here, you would go to sites.google.com, and I'll leave a link down in the description for you. And you need to have a Google account, because you need to sign into your Google account before you can start using the Google Sites. So we're just going to start with creating a blank site. We'll click on that icon. Now they give you a little tour of the basics of how to get started, but we're not going to take you through that because I'm going to do that for you. The first thing you want to do is to set up your header. So you can choose different types of headers. You can also change your image file. So let's see what they've got available for us on Select Image. So they've got some stock images here. Now, if you've got a Google Drive where you've uploaded stuff, you can go to that and select it from here. But we can just pick, one of these patterns, or we could actually pick one of these photos. So we could select that, then we can put our page title in here. So let's call that Stargazer. And you can pop down these different selections. So we're going to leave this as title, so it's already got the right one selected. But we can go in here and change the font, so we can drop this down, and if we wanted to pick something a little heavier, we could say choose Impact. Oh, sorry, we have to actually have that selected. And then we select our font. You can change the size here. You can make it bold if you want. You can underline it. And you can change your text color here. But we could do that, but we're not going to. And I'll show you why in a minute. Now we'll just take a quick look at header type. So these are your basic choices. So you can have this as a cover, so it comes in much larger. So basically these are just choices in how it treats them. Or you can have it not even show a picture. So we'll just stick with large banner for now. And then we can come down here and you've got a couple choices. You can either click here for a text box, but I find it's quicker when you're actually developing a site. You can just double click on the page and then you get this little pop-up. So you click the middle for text, embed codes up here, and then up here you can put in an image. Here you can do an upload, and this would be from your Google Drive. So we could drop some text in here. So we can pop this down and we can make this into a heading. And if we don't like that font, we could change it, but we're not going to, and I'll show you why in a few moments. You could also select one of these, press this little option right here, and that lets you put in a link. And this will help you to automatically link to another page that you've built on your site, or you can actually put in a full URL. And we can change our alignment. So you've got left, center, right, and justify. If you've used a word processor, I'm sure you're familiar with that. You can delete it, and then you've got a little more menu, so you can do indents or extra spacing, straight through, or clear all formatting. And then you notice when you pop up over this section here, you've got three things. So the first one is you can select your colors. So you've got 3 different styles to choose from, so that you can kind of highlight something, give it a little contrast between sections. And you could even put an image in behind your text. So we could go to select, and we can just pick one of these patterns, for instance. So you definitely have some options, but we're going to just get rid of that for now. And I'm going to go with style 1. And you notice here when I get near the bottom, you've got an option to add footer, but we'll worry about that in a moment. And so let's just add some text. So now if you remember before, I was talking about those collapsible groups. So to do that, you can just click that. And you can also type a title in here, and then you would click down here and you could type some stuff in. Now I'm not a very good typist, so I'm just going to type in a bunch of gibberish. So as soon as I haven't selected it, then that little collapsible section goes away. Click that and it comes back. And if you don't want it to be collapsible anymore, you can just turn that switch off. But we'll leave it on. Okay, let's make another title here. Okay, so this time we're going to select our style 3. And we're going to go up here and select heading. So we're going to throw an image in here. We're going to click on upload. I'm going to grab something out of stock photos. Doesn't really matter what we pick. Now I'm going to show you a little quirk of how this handles pictures. So if I want to adjust how wide, how many columns this is going to take up, Notice what it's doing to the picture. So now you could grab this and manually try and stretch it down until it's all the right size. It can be a little touchy, but there's an easier way. You look up here, they've got uncrop. So then that brings it to its full proper size or aspect ratio. And you can actually create a link for the picture. And then you can replace the image. If you click on the little dots, you can add your alt text or your caption. So if we wanted to add a caption, and then we could center that. It's your basic web design kind of stuff. So now I want to show you the difference that themes can make. Actually, just before we get to the themes, let's add our footer. Now you can actually put other stuff in here. You could make this text box a little smaller, add another one. Then if you wanted to make that an actual clickable email address, you can highlight that. Click your link and it just automatically turns it into a mail to. And then you could right align that. And there we go. A very basic footer. Now you can get pretty fancy with this stuff. I'll go back here, show you real quick. So you can see you can put in buttons and other information. So now if we go over here to themes, now we can change the whole look and feel of the site just by selecting a different theme. So there it changed our fonts, our colors, and then you've got a little more control over colors here, and you've got a drop down. So you've got 3 different versions of this particular font. So we could choose classic, or we could go with bold, and you could choose from some different schemes of colors they've laid out. So that's pretty cool. Or you could even go in and click on the little paint bucket and customize the colors, but we won't bother with that because we're going to cover that more when in a later chapter when I show you how to create your own theme. Or we could choose one of these other ones. And see, this has got different options for your text. And it'll also make a difference up here. So now you see we've got this nice round corner box. And then there's vision. So they've got a few little built-in templates that are pretty good. We're not going to go through it all. But that just gives you an idea. I think I might go back to this one here. Okay, now this is where you would have a menu up here. And here you can also add a logo. Now this pops up a interesting little window. So you can have a logo that will show up if somebody puts a link to your site on social media or something somewhere. Let's see if they've got anything available in stock images. No, it doesn't look like it. So we could upload something here. Yeah, let's use this. And we could choose a theme color here if you want to. but that'll override whatever main theme you already chose. And then you've got the favicon. And for those of you who aren't aware, favicon is what's showing up right here in the browser tab. So whatever graphic you want showing up there, this is where you would upload it. So let's just pick something. Yeah, we'll use that. Now here for navigation, this is where you would choose the type of menu. So if you want one that's vertical, you would choose side. Now for now, we're just going to leave this on top. There's not much to see. Now you can choose transparent, which is what it defaults to. So your background image still shows behind it. Once you have some actual items there, it'll show a slightly darker bar, but still lets you see the graphic behind it. Or you can choose white or black. So I'm just going to go with white for now. And we've got some viewer tools. We're going to get into this a little later. So this is where you would set up attaching a domain to your site. But we're going to be covering this probably in the last chapter, or maybe the one just before it. Not sure how many chapters there's going to be yet, but I'm trying to get my videos down to be a little shorter, so I'm breaking stuff up a little more. And then if you set up a Google Analytics and you want to attach that to your site, you can do that here. And that gets really complicated. So I still don't have it working very well. And then the announcement banner, if you've got something where you want people to know that you're working on a problem or that you're just building the site out, in case you've already attached it to a domain, you can have it show a banner. You can give it a color, so you might want to give it something that really makes it stand out so people will notice it. And you type in a little message. You can even put a button on it that might take them somewhere else. And then give it a link. And then you can specify whether it's going to open it in a new tab or just replace it on the tab you're on. And here you can tell it whether it's going to be on all pages or just the home page. So let's just set this to home page. And then you have the option here of turning it off without undoing all the information, so you can turn it off and on at will. So now you see we've got our little banner up here. Now to get to that again, you can just click the little gear icon up here. So let's just actually choose a different color that's a little easier to see the text on. When you want to create more pages, you've got a couple options. You can go over to pages and you can click the plus sign, and then you have some other choices here. Click on new page, and then you would give it a name. So call it some galaxies, and see how it automatically copied the basics from your home page to create the new ones. And now you see we've got a couple of menu selections here. Oh, and I kind of forgot about this one here. You can enter your site name. So this is what's going to show up in like search engines and that kind of thing. And it might also show up in your tab here. So now, if we want to Oh, sorry. So now if we want to go in and change our navigation type, now you can see what the difference is. So when this actually displays on a website, it will automatically show this menu. Like if you're on your actual computer browser, but if you're on a mobile device, then you're just going to get the little hamburger here. Now they do have a preview available, so if we go back, actually let's change this back to our top navigation. So if you want to see what this is going to look like, this is your preview button up here. And then it will show you what it's going to look like for tablet and smartphone. So you'll notice that even though we've got a top menu selected, it still shows it vertically like this when you're on a phone. But when you're on a tablet, you get the normal top menu. Okay, so we just hit exit, and that brings us back to our designer. So now here we've clicked on these little vertical dots. So here you can look at version history. You can make a copy of your site. So that if you totally mess things up, you can just go back with copy. I'm not sure if you can actually use this to create a new site with as a basis. I've never actually tried to do it. This is where you can report any issues you're having, get help, take a look at your tour. That tour that it gave us the option of when we first got here, that's what that is. And then when you get it to the way you like it, you can publish it. Now we're not going to do that at this point. When you don't have a domain attached to it, then there'll be a really long link that it'll give you to be able to view the site. But we're not going to get into that for this episode. That's going to be probably in the next chapter when we actually get a few pages in here to play with. So for the next chapter, I'm going to actually create a bit of a site, just a few pages with some basic stuff, so that I can kind of get into the more meat and potatoes of this. We're gonna leave this one here. So I encourage you to go and play with these other things and kind of get a feel for how they look and lay out, just so you're a little more familiar when I actually start taking you through and showing it to you. It's been my experience that people tend to learn better when they're a little more familiar with the stuff. That way the stuff that I'm showing you will stick better. Make sure you're subscribed and click that notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming chapters. And if you like what we're doing here today, make sure you hit that like button. I would appreciate that. It helps the YouTube algorithm. And maybe take a moment to share this with a friend if you know somebody else that's looking to design a website and they want to learn how to do it. So thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.